Hello, guys. I'm Lisa.
And I'm Natasha.
And we were wondering,
are you free for coffee?
Welcome, welcome.
Hello.
Okay, guys. Today, we are unpacking the slap that was heard around the world. So, if you've been out of the country, out of the universe,
under a rock,
at the 94th Academy Awards, Chris Rock came on stage to be a presenter, and he went off script. This was not scripted. This is just ad-libbed. He saw Jada Pinkett Smith, who they were sitting on the front row, weren't they?
Right,
I believe.
Very much.
And
so.
He said, "Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it." Those are the words he said. Because let's revisit. She shaved her head, and she typically does wear a short hair. Yes. But now it's really kind of a buzz cut. So right. She kind of looked like G.I. Jane when Demi Moore, if you guys remember that movie, badass Demi Moore was in the military, and she had her head buzz cut. So that's what he was referring to. Jada shaved her head because she is suffering from alopecia. So she has spots and some balding. So rather than deal with that and trying to cover it up, she just chose to take it all the way down. Once Jada kind of rolled her eyes, Will actually laughed first. Will Smith, her husband. And then when he saw that she was not happy.
She did not look pleased.
He walked on stage. Now, the Academy Awards is broadcast live, and he slapped Chris Rock. And returning to his seat, he yelled, "Keep my wife's name out of your effing mouth." And he did not say effing.
Yeah, we're just censoring that.
So that, in a nutshell, that is what happened. Now, in Chris's defense, I have heard that he did not realize that she suffered from alopecia. So it was just kind of off the cuff. Personally, I didn't feel like it was real derogatory.
No.
Now, people's feelings are their feelings. So if it hurt her feelings, it hurt her feelings. And right. I'm not one to, I can't speak to that. But it just didn't seem that bad. But,
and it was what comedians do. If you've ever been to a comedy show or a comedy club, then, when you're in the front, you already know who they're going to comment, who the joke's going to be about, because they can see you. You're right there. It kind of makes for easy, on the fly material, so to speak.
But see, now, my question is, with this, and I know that is the comedy trend now. That's what happens. You kind of make fun of culture, and maybe we need to revisit that. We do, because if that has happened to you, and I'm not saying this with Chris and Jada, because that was relatively mild.
It was very mild,
even if he really meant it not to be. It was.
Yes.
A lot of it is not.
Oh, absolutely.
A lot of it is really hurtful. And so that might be something as a society, as a culture, that we need to revisit.
Yes.
Like, maybe it's not cool.
Right.
To do that.
Right.
And, do you have to be funny at someone else's expense?
Absolutely.
Because now think about it. You teach your kids better than that.
Yeah, well,
I thought about this.
We do.
I went to parochial school, and I remember this was in the lower grade, so I can't remember exactly what grade. I'm thinking 4th or 5th. And, at certain times you go to mass just almost every day, just in school. That's what you do when you go to parochial school. And we went, and the daily masses are very short. They're maybe 30, maybe 40 minutes. It's not very long. But, there's communion every time. And a little old lady went up to get communion, and she slipped and fell. And I remember, like, our whole class laughed. We laughed. And not like I mean, I think maybe some of us tried to snicker a little and not let it all the way out, but we laughed. And when I tell you,
Baby.
them nuns got us back in that classroom, okay, and lined us up.
And nobody was laughing.
And I remember her going down the row like a drill sergeant to each one of us.
Put
like
hand out.
how, no, they didn't, no corporal punishment.
Okay.
You would have wished she just beat you.
Right.
But when she got done. But just
it
how
broke you down.
dare you?
Yeah.
How dare you?
Yeah.
And, you feel so ashamed and so, why did I do that?
Right.
And, your kids, you don't want to hear about them being mean to people.
Being mean to folks, yeah.
So as a culture, why is that cool? Why is it cool when adults are?
Right.
So that might be something I thought about. Like I said, in no way am I disparaging Chris Rock. I love him, and I didn't think this was that bad.
I didn't either.
We just probably need to revisit that as a society.
Yeah.
So my thoughts on this, the first thing I thought of was, you all know, if you have a significant other, you have been kicked under the table, you have been prodded,
nudged.
You have been poked. Please,
and
they're telling you, like, don't go there. Don't. And isn't that what you want your significant other to do?
Yes.
That's what, and my friends.
Yes.
That please save me from myself.
Yes.
Please.
Yes.
If I'm out somewhere and you see me about to open mouth, insert foot, please tap me.
Nudge
and
me.
She didn't do that. And that kind of was troubling to me. It was not her action. She was not, that was completely him. But I'm just saying, you know him better than anyone. And if he has that tendency to maybe overreact, if you know this is a touchy subject, et cetera, maybe you could have just put your hand on his shoulder,
his knee or his shoulder. Yeah.
Not now. This is going to ruin your night.
Yes.
Let's not.
I think the action that was hers that really bothered me, though, was that when he slapped him, she burst out laughing. And I mean, there was.
Oh, see, I didn't see that.
Yes. And that bothered me. That really bothered me. Like, I even ran it in my head, like, maybe if I didn't get to my husband in time, like Will Smith, my husband is tall. So I'm thinking about his stride, me walking away is not the same as him walking away. I'm thinking all these things, but I see myself going, when it happens, like, oh my gosh, not laughing. I don't see myself as laughing. Yeah. And that really bothered me, because it's one thing to exchange words for words, in my opinion. It is another thing to someone who is a professional funny person. This is the standard that Hollywood has set for them to do something that is their job. Like, they were called to host for this reason. To actually physically slap them for a comment. Yeah. It's not the same as meeting words with words. And that bothered me.
Yeah. And at the Academy Awards, there's so many comedians.
Yes.
I mean, the hosts were comedians. So, and you're sitting in the front row. So you're kind of, not that excuses it, but I mean, you are in prime real estate. So chances are they're going to say something about you.
Like I had told you when we kind of discussed it and it was more fresh, Jada Pinkett Smith and Chris Rock have worked together on something that was also a very Madagascar. They have worked together. Really, Madagascar is probably the most recent work I can even think of for Jada Pinkett Smith outside of her own show. But I mean, like, Inner Hollywood, Madagascar is the most recent work I can think of for her.
Maybe Girls Trip. Was that after that or before?
I think that was after that. And Madagascar still has little spinoffs happening. So, there's still some stuff with that. But my thing was, I really equated it to an old coworker coming in. And you're like, okay, I see you, G.I. Jane. Like, I didn't view it as this negative.
Almost a compliment versus
it wasn't
a put down.
Right. It was not I didn't see it as such. I didn't. Again, your feelings are your own. So I'm not negating those feelings. But what really bothered me was, it was funny at first to him. It wasn't until you saw her face that you saw a need to change up your reaction. And you did a slap. It's like, how do you go from laughing at it to slapping someone about it? I mean, that's two very opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
And I applaud Chris Rock. I feel like
for holding it together, and being professional.
When I say the bigger person, I mean the bigger person. If you have not just seen this to death, I want you to watch his body language. Like, his natural instinct for a split second was to hit him back. And that would be anybody's natural instinct because someone just came up and hit you. And I remember talking to my husband, we were talking about comedy, and he really, watching it again, Chris Rock thought this guy was going to take the mic and say something funny to him because Will Smith is also kind of a funny man. Not exactly his edge into Hollywood, but he is known for being very comedic and being funny. And so that's what Chris Rock is thinking. Like, he's what in the heck is he going to say? Because then it is getting unscripted.
Surely I'm not getting assaulted.
Surely I'm not getting physically assaulted today.
He wasn't thinking that.
And, just his ability to keep his composure, to keep it going, to make
kudos to you, Chris.
Yes, and to make light of himself. Because then he kind of had to make a joke to keep it going.
I think he slapped the shit out of me.
And so, like, he had to do it. And I really like.
And my thing with Jada, if you know that this is an issue with him, fix your face. Like if you know he's reacting to what you're doing. And, like we said, it was Will that did it. But I'm just saying you're there. And you're the one that knows him the most and what's going on. This is
you're with him more than anyone else in this studio.
This is going to be his big night.
Yes.
To keep him from ruining it.
Yes.
And for everybody else, fix your face. Everybody else there is acting.
Yes.
Somebody else won and you're clapping and smiling and in your heart thinking, I should have won that.
I should have won that. Or,
fix your face.
No talent having da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we don't know.
I mean, that's literally your job.
Right? And we don't know how much of this has to do with so many other areas in their life that are not secret. They've talked about, their open marriage and their now. You folks
seems
listen
like
out there,
an overreaction.
Now, this is a cautionary tale. That shit never works. That opens up. I'm sorry. Somebody's feelings are going to get hurt.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So just, note to self. And that's what some of this was.
Oh, for sure.
It really,
some of this was embarrassment from other things.
And my thing too is I think I felt, I guess because it was on public display. If I had heard later that after the thing was over and Will went back there and kicked Chris Rock's ass, I would have been like, oh, okay.
Yep.
And still it was wrong.
Honey, I mean, could a dog walk?
Right, but it wouldn't have been as bad. It would have been like, okay, he just wasn't having it.
Yeah, he went about that
they
today.
had a little discussion. They had an intense fellowship about it. But that they did
intense fellowship.
On prime time, live TV. Who does that?
Yes, yeah.
And I saw I had to look it up. I saw the cutest quote. It said, "No matter the situation, never let your emotions overpower your intelligence." Ooh. And that's exactly what
happened.
Did.
That's what happened. Yes.
It's like it was so amazing. The little voice didn't come on for him. We all have that little voice that says, like, don't do that.
And let me tell y'all, mine was broken for many years. I'm being really serious. I mean, years of Mama Natasha. Now, when this all started, what were you thinking? I mean, I can literally, it's almost like a broken record. I mean, and I know my mama was like, how many times do I have to tell this girl? And I just remember that there was some shift that happened in young adulthood where in my head, I would even zone out and I might think of slapping you. I mean, to the point where it felt very real in my head, but I knew I can't behave this way. This doesn't solve anything. I only feel better for a moment. I can't behave this way. So that little voice started, just walk away. Or
I think we all
whatever
have
it is.
it.
Even children have it. I'll give you a great example. I mean, you guys already know I'm expecting, for those of you keeping up, we're about halfway through. So there's as much behind us as there is ahead of us. And I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. And my 2-year-old is almost the size of my 4-year-old, which is not uncommon because his dad is really big and was as big as his older sister when they were little. So recently they were playing, and I think it was an accident. I do, really. But Scarlett's face was, I mean, she squared up. Like, baby, she was ready.
Go. She was going to go there.
She was going to go. She didn't care that it was an accident, honey. You hit her in the face. And she was like, this is right before a wedding. So she's very, like, excited.
Worked up.
She's very, like, excited. Her hair is done. She's like, I'm going to be a princess, and I have a princess gown. And she did. I might post a picture of it. But I tell you what, boy, she was ready. And I looked at her, and she can't see me. I'm just wondering, like, Lord,
is it going to kick in? Is the voice going to kick in?
And so she moved her fist, and she just started shaking. I thought, look, this ain't looking so hot. And her brother is none the wiser. He's got the toy. He's just oblivious. And she said, on. Bug, do not hit my face. And she's like, she is having to practice genuine restraint. Do you hear? Like, her little fist is shaking. It's like the Arthur meme. Like, that fist is balled up. She's so upset. My husband comes. He's like, "What happened?" I got it because I actually did see it, and so I said, "Okay, Cedric, you hit her in the face, getting that toy, and that's not okay. There's one for each of you." That, so I talked to him. I do think it was an accident. I think they were being too rough, but I think it was an accident. I told Scar, I said, I'm so proud of you because you really wanted to hit Buddy. And she said, right in the face. But here, she's 4. She is 4.
And the voice came on.
And the voice clicked on. And I had to go in the bathroom, y'all, and just giggle because you just had to see her, and she's so sweet, and she really kind of can be a pushover with her brother. And so I said, ooh. He hit whatever button it was. He hit the buzzer.
And the thing is,
but she did good. She did really good.
We've all been in positions like that.
Yes.
Where you want to go off. And in your mind, you're justified.
Yes, where you feel as though you have been wronged and I have a right to feel this way.
And I'm sure that's what he felt.
Yes.
But either the voice comes on, and then if the voice doesn't come on, that's what I'm saying about the spouse or good friend.
Yes.
And, I feel about him the same way I felt about Melania Trump wearing that coat. You remember where she wore the coat that said, I don't care, do you?
Oh, yes.
And I remember thinking, she must have
nobody
no friends.
Stopped you?
No friends.
Right.
Like, I know the people around you sometimes when you're
can be people.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And they're just going to, facilitate you and validate you and let you do you.
Keep yourself one
but
real
you
friend.
Need some friends that say, don't wear that.
Don't wear that.
Nowhere.
With all the money you got, you can wear any designer piece. Put that up.
Put that up. So there was nobody in her life that could do that. So
absolutely.
For Will, I guess Jada's not that person either. And that was sad to me.
It was.
And not that she could have physically restrained him, because she couldn't have. Like, if he really wanted to do it.
Right.
But
you could have objected in your body language. You could have made some objection. Because I'm just going to tell y'all.
Because he's trying to please her.
He's trying to please you.
So the thing is, your face showed displeasure, and that's what he went up to address. If you did the same thing with, I am just as displeased if you go up there, he wouldn't have went. I don't believe he would have.
No, absolutely not.
So I'm kind of blaming her too. Like, both of y'all need a timeout. Both of y'all need the voice to come on, I guess.
Both to some extent.
But it was so unfortunate, and it just diminished him winning later. That just a few minutes later, he won in the best actor category for King Richard. So it overshadowed that. Yes. It overshadowed the Williams family.
Yes.
Which
someone's
is,
legacy.
Somebody's life story.
Yeah. Well, really, the whole daggum show, because that's
all we talked about.
This is it.
Right after.
I didn't know who won. I didn't know who wore what. This was it.
Well, the reason Chris Rock was up there was to present the Oscar for Best Documentary, which was Questlove
of the Roots,
Summer of Soul, which if you have not seen is wonderful. Watch it. So that completely overshadowed his win.
Yeah.
And it was just so unfortunate.
Yes. We won't go into just the breakdown of how unfortunate it was, because this was also the first African American, was it producer that
Yes,
did
it was an all black production
company. Thank you.
So that it kind of clouded that.
Yes. Yeah.
It was so unfortunate.
It was such a big night for so many people.
And the sad thing is, I mean, we've all been there,
right?
Maybe not to that extent, but we've all done things where you wish you had a do-over, and you don't get one. This is not a do-over thing. Yeah. The dust has settled. He has been reprimanded, and his punishment is he cannot attend an Academy Award for 10 years. Now, I believe he can still be nominated, as far as I know, but if you've been following this story, you know that Netflix and some others have pulled projects from him. So I don't know that he's getting nominated anytime soon, because he's not going to be working anytime soon.
As a partner, as a wife, as a friend, as a spouse, like my husband is my best friend. And when people ask him, who's your best friend? He says it's me. And I believe him. We're two nerds in a pod. I want to boil this down to the reality. I'm not going to mess up my money. I'm just, some of y'all are thinking it. I'm going to say it, baby. I'm not, get your tail right back.
Right.
Now, my husband's a big man. Lisa can tell, he is not small, honey. No party. I'm dragging all of that way. Hey, Cedric. I mean, I can just hear myself, because I'm like, you're not messing with all of our money, because that impacts our children. But I think our legacy.
That's what I'm saying about the voice. I think the voice doesn't come on, or didn't come on, for either one of them.
And that's concerning.
Because that was her laughing and the whole thing. I mean, she didn't, like I'm saying, the nudge, the kick under the table. Right. We've all done it. We've all had it done. Right. Just close your mouth. Let it go. Don't say that. We've all been there. And that didn't happen
for either one. And
it didn't happen. And, I think she could have just touched him and said, I'm okay.
Yeah.
And just
don't do
this.
Don't worry about
yes.
That. Yeah.
And so, it just is so problematic on so many levels.
And I felt like because they had worked together before, you're not a stranger to me. I know Hollywood is probably a much smaller circle than we realize. I mean, most of the houses
says it is. I don't know.
It's probably pretty small, but
most work places
are. But you two are not total
professions.
Strangers. Yes,
most plumbers, they know each other, know of each other.
Yes.
Most,
and I'm a big girl, so I'm gonna tell you. My husband don't have to tell. I'm gonna tell you, hey. Let me tell you something.
That wasn't cool.
I have alopecia, and I do not think it was cool, because the other thing was he didn't know that she had alopecia. I truly believe that would have impacted the joke that he told. This, to me, I'm thinking of like an old coworker, and I see them
who hasn't seen you in a while.
I definitely put my foot in my mouth. This is why I try not to compliment people losing weight, because I used to be much larger. And so every time someone said it to me, I did take it as a compliment, because it was intentional. I was losing weight, and I lost just over 100 pounds. So it was always like, oh, thank you. Thanks for noticing my hard work. I have a dear friend of mine, and I complimented her for losing weight, and the voice didn't kick on, and there was no one to nudge me. And I complimented her again, and it was not for good reason. It was a health issue. And just because I saw it as, oh, congratulations, doesn't mean
because that had been your experience.
Because that had been my experience. Yeah. That was not what was going on here. Not at all. Insert tears. Now, I'm sitting here, foot completely in mouth. I mean, unwashed, walking out on the bare concrete, foot in mouth. And it's like, I mean, how do you even recover from that? And I won't go deep into it, because it's too easy to find people.
I don't like to. I try not to compliment people, especially children, on their looks.
Looks, yes.
Because number one,
and that's
you didn't do anything to get it.
You're right.
You didn't do nothing to get it. Why am I telling you, baby? You just got what you got. Can't nobody do nothing about that.
And your parents were probably praying you wouldn't, and it just is.
So I try specifically not to do that. Of course, we all like to say, if you get a haircut, you get, something fun. You kind of want somebody to notice.
Right.
And hopefully the people closest to you will. But I specifically try not to do that.
But I feel like that's a very comparable situation.
So that's kind of maybe with that, like, just don't go there with people, because you don't know what's going on.
I thought Demi Moore, I still think she's beautiful. First off. I mean, like, seriously iconically beautiful to me. But I remember I was smitten with G.I. Jane. I thought it was so cool.
Oh yeah, she was so badass.
She was so beautiful
it was
and badass.
Really hit movie.
It was yes, yeah. I thought it was so cool. So when I heard the joke or the comment, to me it was like, okay, then thank you.
Yeah, I didn't take it badly.
It badly. Now for someone else, maybe that's not their idea of beauty, so they might have taken it in a different light.
Well, it was a whole alopecia thing. Now, you know,
Right.
women,
But it was something
with our, a couple weeks ago, our Crown Act, and, you know,
Yes.
hair is such a personal thing.
Yes.
And for women, it's very personal and very trigger happy,
Yes.
kind of,
Yes.
you know, it can
Yes.
just has lots of connotations for us. So I don't really know what that feels like for her.
Right.
And she's, because she's so public. I mean, she talked about it. She, you know, I'm shaving my head. It wasn't
Right.
a secret.
Right.
So you kind of think, well, she's okay.
Right.
When she might not have
When
been.
she really, right.
And that's
Right.
the other thing.
I
Will
agree.
might have known that.
Yes.
Like, she's
Yes.
really not
He
okay.
might have really been
she
privy
cries
to that
herself to
information.
sleep, or
Right.
she's,
Right. Whatever
you know,
it is.
she's very distraught over
Yes.
this. And that's something that we're not privy to.
We're not privy to.
So,
Absolutely.
I mean, that could totally be it. So there's so many points to it. You know, the first being, there should have been some control exercise.
Yes.
No matter what was said, no matter what was, you just really don't get to lay hands on folks in that way.
Keep your hands to yourself.
That's just not cool. So that's the first thing. Second, be the adult in the room.
Fix your face.
Be the adult in the room,
Yes.
even when your partner or your
Yes.
friend can't do it. Because
Yes.
sometimes you can't. You just,
Yes.
the situation can be that intense or that triggering where
Mhm.
you can't be the
Right.
adult
Right.
now. So pray God that you have
That you got
someone
telling
around you that
Yes.
can be the adult,
Yes.
that will say, don't go there.
Right.
Don't do this.
Right.
Don't, you know,
Right.
you listening there, be that person.
Yes.
Be
Yes.
that friend, be
Yes.
that spouse, be
Yes.
that significant other.
Yeah.
So that's the second thing. And like we said, kudos to Chris that in that circumstance, you can pull it together enough. And it was kind of funny because Questlove, it was not just him. It was a group of men that made that Summer of Soul.
Mhm.
And so there was I believe he was Asian, a man from India, I think.
Okay.
So Chris said something, I can't remember. Either he misspoke his name or he said something about Questlove, you know, being the only person of color or something like that, where
Right.
this man was a person of color also.
Right.
I can't remember the exact circumstance, and he was kind of offended. But I thought, please cut him some slack, Chris, because
Right.
he just
Listen,
recovered and
Because
just
as
got his
stated,
ass whooped,
I
right?
just had the shit slapped out of me. So forgive me if I'm a little bit off.
Yes.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
you know, kudos to him because he
Yes.
really did
Because
get it together.
quick.
And
So quickly.
and just kept it moving.
Yes.
And
somehow did it the duration of the show.
yes. Of his presentation.
Well, but
and then I think he left.
Well, but what I'm saying, the duration of the show for him.
Yes.
You
yes,
kept
he
it
was
together.
Ultimate professional.
Because you could have walked off that stage and said, hey, go ahead, meet me.
Or they could have had fisticuffs right on the stage.
That's
I mean,
true.
it could have went to that. Thank
yeah,
God that it did not.
Yes.
But so that's our take on it.
Yeah.
Guys, I mean, you know, we could not talk about it. It's just too and I, you know, we don't want to be gossipy. We are really not that kind of show. But it was something so big and there were so many aspects of it. And we just kind of wanted to touch on it.
But in such a public world, I mean, we've met all of you through social media, through public, through broadcast, through the podcast. Like, that's how we've met everyone. And it's a reminder that through all of this publicity and all of this public world, self-control maybe takes a different turn.
And your actions and your words matter. That's what it means. And I think the lesson in this for me, and like I said, I am not in any way disparaging Chris Rock or trying to say anything offensive or, you know, mean about him, because I think he's a great comedian and he's usually not too terribly mean.
No, he's not.
But
not typically.
I feel, for me personally, I am going to make a point of that be not okay. Like, I'm not going to
poking fun at someone else's expense is not okay.
It's not okay. And I'm not going to patronize those people. I'm not. And if I get a chance to say something to people, I'm going to say, you're so talented, so funny. Yeah. You don't have to do that.
Right. Like, you're funny enough that you don't have
to do that. So that might be something that as a culture and a society we move towards.
We need to get away from it. Yeah, because it's been out for a while. We're going
through so much, y'all. The world is mean. Do we have to be? Do we have to do it?
We don't need any more of it.
We don't.
Yeah,
we don't.
I agree. I totally agree.
That's where I am. So let's move on to our sexiest man alive.
This week.
Keep it light. So this week, I am revisiting Scandal, and I'm going to pick Scott Foley, who was. If you guys watch Scandal, that was Kerry Washington / Olivia Pope's other love interest besides Fitz. Mm-hmm. And just an interesting fact, in real life, he was married at one time to Jennifer Garner, who was married to our beloved Ben Affleck.
There we go.
So it's a circle, the circle of life, right? And he's remarried. Everybody's moved on, y'all. Okay, everybody's good. But just a little tidbit,
fun fact.
Yeah. But he's a cutie. I had forgotten about him.
That is so funny. I'm picking who I thought you were gonna pick, but you didn't pick. So now I'm happy.
Okay.
Because guys, I'm not a big TV person. I can only do so many shows at one time. Like, my max is probably 3. Anything over 3, I cannot do it. So I've never ever seen any episodes of This Is Us. I know, weird, but Sterling K. Brown is cute.
I picked him a couple weeks ago.
You picked him before, didn't you?
Yeah.
So I guess it was probably you talking about him, but he was on, and this is an old cover of like Men's Health.
Oh yeah.
So he was on the cover of Men's Health, and
he's really built. Yeah.
Even his little, like, what he was talking about with men and mental health, and I was like, oh, swoons. So he's a cutie. I was reading it. It's an old magazine. I'm like in the bathroom trying to hide from my kids and have a minute, and I like get into it. I'm like, babe, have you read this? He's like, you reading my magazine? I was like, yeah, it was really good. Like,
he is cute.
So he is really handsome.
And a great dancer. I saw him on something, maybe, I guess, Instagram, because that's the only
platform you would have saw him
on. But he was dancing. He was wobbling.
Okay.
And it was so cute.
Okay.
It was
take
the whole cast was kind of doing the thing.
You did tell me about this.
He was so cute.
But he's very handsome, and I liked what I read. So I was like, I will use him as my sexiest man alive this week.
He could be my sexiest man every week. I mean,
definitely. He deserves at least a month.
Yeah.
For sure.
Really cute.
Okay, loves. Thank you for grabbing a chair and joining us for coffee. Please subscribe to Are You Free for Coffee podcast wherever you are listening. We hope that you enjoyed today's episode and find joy in the little things. Until next time.